Good evening. My name is Pat Brockway. I'm the Geauga and Lake County Truant Officer that work with schools. Tonight we're going to talk about absenteeism, probably more specifically chronic absenteeism, but what leads up to that. This is chronic absenteeism in our family engagement series. And I come from an administrative background with schools. I'm a 40-year administrator, so I was a principal, and for the last 4 years, I've been the truant officer, so I work with the courts in Lake and Geauga County. I work through the ESC of the Western Reserve, and in that we have a mission and a vision, which you can see up here on the screen, to provide programming for parents and for students to help them excel. So one of the things I look at, I'm not coming at this from a litigious viewpoint, but I'm coming at it from an administrator-teacher background. So why is regular attendance important for students? So looking at attendance across the state of Ohio, Ohio is at 25.6% absenteeism, but it's down from 26.8 last year. This rate is still way too high, obviously. Pre-pandemic levels were at 16%. So certainly the pandemic had a lot to do with it. Mentor is doing something right because their rate is 16.7%, well below the state percentage. But why is it important for your child to attend school? 4 big things for me are enabling the child to have consistent progress in the academic arena and mastering the knowledge they need to continue. It gives students skills necessary for high school, for college, for the workforce. It identifies their strengths, certainly, and their weaknesses, and it minimizes long-term negative effects on students, lower achievement, graduation rates, self-esteem. So it's very important to have that rigor and to be able to go consistently. There also, with the state of Ohio, is a seat time mandated. You need a specific amount of seat time. So the 3 definitions that the state and ODE put this into effect, House Bill 410, in 2017. The last one, as you see, is chronic absenteeism, but I'm going to talk about the first 2 before that, because what I look at, for me, when I work with schools is, what can we do to troubleshoot early? I don't want to wait till they get to chronic. So my schools that I work with that have contracted with me know to include me or call me for advice or whatever they want to do. They can actually, at habitual truancy, they don't need to have me at meetings, but most of them do. So a child who's absent without a legitimate excuse, so that means, like, for example, a vacation. That is not a legitimate excuse in the state of Ohio. Couldn't get up. That's not legitimate. 30 or more hours in a month or 72 hours in a year. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but you have to look back at what is the day length for a student, and it's only about 5 hours and some minutes, because you're taking out study halls in between class time and lunchtime. So that can add up pretty quickly. So that would be habitual. And many times what schools will do is send me that list. We look it over and I make recommendations, and we might have a meeting and we might not. Excessive, that's a child who's at 38 hours with or without a legitimate excuse. A doctor's note. Now, how many doctor notes can you have in a month or in a school year? Some, a lot. And then the last one, which is really House Bill 410, is chronic absenteeism, and that's 10% of the school days with or without a legitimate excuse. So if you look at a 180-day school year, you're looking at 18 days minimum that they're missing, which is over 3 weeks of school. And I'll show you the chart here, so you can see what that would look like. And it goes by month and it goes by year. So if I have a student, for example, in October I'm going to go back, that's hitting excessive, that percentage is going to be higher. It just kicks up as the year goes on, or kicks down, I'm sorry. So the more days, the percentage will go down a little as long as they're not still missing. So this is important to note. And what a lot of parents do is kind of what the kids do. They just kind of avoid the whole thing. And the standard comment from parents to me is, I can't get them to go to school. And my answer is, well, I can get them to go to school. I'll go pick them up. So I often laugh that I should have a tag on my car that says Paddy Wagon. And I will come and get them, pick them up, take them to school, and we might do that for a few days. Every student I work with has my phone number. They can call me 24/7. They never call, they always text. But they do reach out and say, I missed the bus, my mom's at work, can you help me out? That's what I want to see. I want to be more preventative than punitive. I don't want these youngsters to be taken to court. I really don't. So part of the whole House Bill 410 is, and it's mandated, schools must have an AIT as part of their attendance following of House Bill 10, an absence intervention team. Most of them, I mean, you can put anyone on that team. Most of the schools do it the same way. They have one administrator, and it's generally the assistant principal in the upper grades, and then a guidance counselor, school counselor, or a social worker, or both. Myself, the parents, and always a student. I will never have a meeting without the student there. I'm not going to make a plan and not have the students be part of the plan, because part of my plan is for them to buy in. I don't really care. Well, I do care if the parents buy in, but it's not the parents that are going to have to help with the plan as much as it is the students. So the role of this team is to identify specific barriers and solutions. And they could be really silly, like, for example, I'll show you some examples when I get to the form, but it could be as silly as putting the alarm on the other side of the room because they don't get up. Most or a lot of parents of secondary students do not get up with their students. Younger students, it's generally a parental thing, and we have to work on that a different way. After 3 legitimate tries to schedule a meeting and the parent's not cooperating, right now I have 2 that are not responding, then we just meet without the parent. We just have the meeting, we come up with a plan, and we go from there. If my concern is really that they're neglected or something's going on, something's very dysfunctional, then I have to move forward and call JFS. So here is the Student Absence Intervention Plan. It's a template that the state puts out. Certainly it is not the end all, but it gives the information we need. Every district has their own letterhead. They format it however they want, but this is the information that we need. We want to know about the whole child. You know, this process for me needs to be positive. It needs to be joining hands with parents, school, student, and working together. It's not me across the table from a student or a parent. And most kids and most parents, there are a few, but most of them, they get to know me and they trust me with that. I have lots of situations where the parent will reach out and say, Pat, I can't get them up, what do I do? Or call me the night before and say, he or she is saying they're not going to go to school. So we work on things together, and that's what I really want to see more. They also need to include somebody within the district or within the building that that child relates to. I've done things as silly, you know, I had one girl, she was a junior, and she just said, oh, I just can't get up. You know, I just can't get up. She says that every time I talk to her. And I said, well, let me ask you something. I said, your nails look nice, but you haven't had them done lately. And she said, what? And I said, yeah, how would you be able to get up if I paid for a manicure if you came 30 days consecutively? She said, are you kidding me? She has not missed a day yet. She's come 2.5 months in a row. She has not missed. I bought her the first manicure. She is delightful, she's lovely. She actually did a selfie with me to put my number in her phone, and she's turned it around. Something as silly as that. Another good example I use with students, and I've probably done this 8 to 10 times, is I'll have a student say, I don't hear my phone. I don't hear the alarm. An elephant could come in the room, I can't get up. And I said, how would you feel if you were on a beach in Florida and it was 80 degrees and sunny? Oh, I would get up. I said, okay, you got it. And I will send a sun alarm to their house that is the most obnoxious thing you'd ever see. I have one and I love it. I love sleep, but I love this better. And when the alarm goes off, it doesn't make a sound. The sun slowly starts coming up until all of a sudden it looks like Fort Lauderdale in the bedroom. And most students cannot sleep through that unless they go under the blankets. But that's been very successful. The second thing is, and I haven't done this yet, but there is also another alarm that literally bounces around the room and rolls all over, including on the bed, off the bed, on the... So those are some good things. One of the things I always say to parents, wouldn't it be great to get up in the morning and sit down with them and have breakfast and just talk to them? But a lot of times, parents are either already at work or they're sleeping a little bit to get up and go to work later. But I feel it's very important that there's somebody up with them in the morning, if that's at all possible. But if there's a football coach, a teacher, anyone that can make this child feel needed and good and we miss you at school, that can negate any of this, hopefully. Like, what's the favorite subject? What are your extracurriculars? What do you like to do? You know, who are you the closest with? That kind of stuff. And you can get on this website and see all of that, but it's very important, and this goes on, where the student signs, we all sign and agree, this is what we're going to do. So a lot of times I make it a challenge for the student. You know, can you go, and I always say consecutive. I don't say, I'd like to see you here at school every day this month, because Thursday they miss, and then they go, forget it. You know, I can't do it. So I always say consecutive days. So if I say 20 consecutive days and you get to the third day, I don't want you to give up. We start over on the fourth day is day one. So it gives them some hope and they feel good about it. I always check on them, I always call them. That's important, but it doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody through the school. An administrator is probably too busy to do that, but certainly a counselor, a social worker, an intervention specialist, somebody that can make that child feel like they belong and they fit in. So the question is, when should a parent reach out and when should they ask for assistance? And I say the first time the child says, I don't want to go. But human nature is, I don't want to let the school know. I don't want her to get in trouble or him to get in trouble. I don't want to be on the radar, blah, 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 blah. Be on the radar. Ask for help. They're not going to judge you or look at you differently. But it's better to assist and come up with a plan than wait and have it be punitive. So that's what I always say. If you see a pattern, then say something. It's kind of like the see something, say something. And a lot of times schools don't see that. You have a teacher that sees a child for one period, they don't know that's going on, but the parent will know that's going on. So, and even if a parent reaches out to a teacher or someone they're more comfortable with, an administrator, that's fine. But just reach out to somebody. We'd like to thank you tonight for attending this. And on behalf of our governing board, which is listed there, we thank you very much for listening to this important message.